Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, hope you're doing well. Okay, let's do a quick recap of week 9 of the marathon train so far. Week 9 is also the third week of the 5-week lactate threshold and endurance train block. So Monday was just 10 kilometers of recovery on grass. I did a Bankstown City Sports Complex. I was a bit tired from the 35k long run the day before, but at least it was a nice pleasant morning, so yeah, the run went okay. Tuesday was a 14km general aerobic run around Riverwood and Naui. I also checked out a few random unexplored streets around Naui, so that was pretty nice as well. Wednesday was a 24km medium long run towards Paso Heights and Illawong, and then all the way back. I finally tried the single helix lacing technique with my red pair of speeds. Initially it felt a bit too loose or even like less secure of a hold, but after running in it for a while I noticed that there was definitely less pressure on top of the foot as well as the toe box area, and I did also combine it with the heel lock lacing, so it's still fairly secure around the ankles at least, and overall the comfort went up a fair bit. However, it did feel slightly less secure and stable, so I have a feeling that this lacing style and looser fit might not be that great for doing speed work or quicker stuff like intervals, but it should be fine since the comfort is much better. It was also good to test this lacing along this particular route since it has some pretty long inclines and declines. However, I don't really get numb toe issues on medium long runs in general, but rather long runs instead, so like anything above like 27k's or 28k's. So I'll still need to do a proper test on an upcoming long run with that lacing style on the white pair speeds instead. Thursday was 10 kilometers of recovery, not on grass unfortunately. It rained a fair bit the evening before and I wasn't too keen on like running on flooded grass, so yeah, I just did my recovery around Riverwood instead. It's actually been a while since I've done weekday recovery runs on pavement I think, so it didn't feel quite as relaxed as the usual grass runs, so I tried to take it a bit easier than usual. Friday was a 21km medium long run around Salt Pan Creek Reserve. It was raining a bit that day but nothing too crazy. I was also wearing the red speeds again and trying to get used to the fit and comfort with the new lacing. It's pretty decent because I was performing more or less the same as with the old lacing, but feeling slightly more comfy now. Saturday was supposed to be 11 kilometers recovery run with some speed work at the end, so that was supposed to be like around 6 or 100 meter strides. So I went to Rhodes Park Run, ended up going a bit quick with Chris for the first 4 kilometers and then finished the last kilometer a bit faster. I also managed to squeeze in the strides at the end after the cooldown. Felt fairly decent overall, but maybe it wasn't the best idea to go quick with this recovery run since there was going to be a marathon pace long run on Sunday the next day, and it probably wasn't the best idea for Chris either since there was going to be the Hoka half marathon race on Sunday as well. Sometimes we get carried away at park run too easily I guess. And then finally Sunday was a 29km long run with 19 kilometers at goal marathon pace. Since there was some goal marathon pace effort involved and it was the second last one in this whole train plan, I figured I'd do something a bit more flat and controlled rather than my usual long run routes, maybe as a confidence booster of some sort. So I decided to do it along the Rhodes Park Run and like the Rhodes foreshore, which is about 6k's per loop, like 3k's up, 3k's down, and like from end to end and like back as well. Unfortunately the weather wasn't that great for Sunday. It was raining a bit from the start and just got like heavier and worse as time went by, but I figured there's not much we can do about it anyways. I was already feeling a bit tired and sore and was definitely regretting the quick park run the day before. However, I did finally get around to trying the single helix lacing technique on my white pair speeds with thinner socks as well. I think it might have been a game changer because I'm glad to say that this time I didn't get any numb toes at all for the entire like 29 kilometers. Although 29 kilometers in about 2 hours isn't enough to know for sure, I still might get numb toes like even longer runs, but we'll have to see. So even though I wasn't feeling too great from the start and the weather was getting worse over time, I was pretty glad that my shoes weren't giving me that much trouble apart from the sensation like cold, wet socks and like soaked shoes. So I was able to hold myself together and somehow perform much better than I was expecting. I also ended up with like a half marathon PB as a result. I think it was just below 1 hour 22 minutes or so. I haven't really raced half marathons so far and probably won't get the chance to until later this year maybe, but it was definitely a confidence booster knowing that I'm still tracking fairly well training so far. I also met up with OPRC afterwards at the end of their massive long run as well, although with a lesser turnout than usual, probably because many of the runners were doing the Hoka half marathon race. Turns out a lot of them also got PBs for their race, which is pretty great considering the rainy conditions. Anyways, the total mileage for week 9 was about 118 kilometers. It was a fairly massive week which turned out quite well, especially given the less than ideal weather on some of the days throughout the week, and also given that I've finally gone around to trying a single helix lacing technique on my speeds. I might still have some issues here and there for the longer runs, but it's still quite a relief for now. Next week will be a much needed recovery week. Still a fairly big week, but less volume and less workouts, and also featuring the first prescribed interval session in this whole train plan. So yeah, I'm kind of keen to see how it goes. Anyways, let's quickly talk about running drills and why we should be doing them. Okay, so firstly, running drills are dynamic exercises that are meant to teach our body and mind proper movement patterns when it comes to running. There's many types of drills. Some are targeted towards like running form or running economy and efficiency. Others are for building power or speed, for example. So it really depends because I've seen some videos online of the drills that sprinters do, for example, and it's like way more thorough than that of like distance runners. There's plenty of benefits of doing running drills, such as like teaching the body to recruit the right muscles for running, helping the body become a bit more activated and aware or just awake as part of the warm-up, improving strength, power, balance and coordination, and so on. However, I'm not entirely sure if doing drills actually like translates that well into running performance. For example, there's often nuances to running drills and sometimes different schools of thoughts will teach a drill in different ways. Sometimes you're apparently supposed to do it this way and not that way, or that this particular drill isn't that useful and that one is, and so on. Sometimes we may end up learning and doing drills incorrectly or in like a less than ideal way. Whether that affects our running performance, I'm not too sure. Every runner's form and technique is quite individual and personalized, and like everyone's proportions and flexibility and mobility is different as well, so chances are we'd all be doing drills in a slightly different way as well. Personally, I don't mind doing drills as part of my warm-up routine as it doesn't take much time or effort to do, and I do feel like it helps me feel a bit more activated daily before I start my run, and I'd like to say that it has helped with my running form a bit over time as well. Okay, so typically I'll do my running drills as part of my warm-up routine before most of my runs. So it'd be like easy walk or jog, like to get me a bit loosened up and a bit more warm, and then some dynamic movements like leg swings, and then I'll do the running drills, and then afterwards I should be mostly ready to go. For faster workouts or races, I may do some strides as well. I tend to do my running drills for like about 10 meters or so, maybe 10 reps per side, and usually like once or twice per exercise, and just like walk back in between exercises, so pretty much no rush. I don't really need to rest in between exercises either, since it's not really intense. The drills alone don't take that much time as well. It's probably like around 5 minutes in total. So I try to do drills as part of my warm-up routine for most of my runs if I can. There's lots of great resources out there, from like YouTube videos to websites to Instagram reels and so on. I'm not an expert with this stuff, so most of the stuff I'm talking about in this video is actually in reference to like a blog post on the Training Peaks website. I'll link in the description below. Feel free to check it out and see what works for you, but don't feel the need to do all the drills either. Personally, I don't do that many drills, maybe only like 5 different ones or so, and I feel like it's carrying me along fairly well so far. I also only started doing drills like last year doing the training for Sydney Marathon, and I haven't really gotten around to like looking into a bit more either. With most drills, you can learn them by doing the slow or like the walking variation first. Then over time, as you get a feel for it, you can do them with like a quicker rhythm or tempo. And then while doing drills, I think you're supposed to stay relaxed and tall, but not floppy and loose either. So you might need to stay quite focused and engage the core as well. Since I'm here, I might as well demonstrate. Keep in mind that I might not have the best or like even the correct form or technique here. It's probably the first time I'll see myself doing running drills on video as well. So yeah, I guess I'll be able to review my form myself and like fix up later if I need to. Okay, so the first is A skips. A skips are supposed to teach us the pulling motion, where we push or even like pull back, I'm not really sure, so that we can have a more powerful stride. I think it also helps with increasing cadence as well. So you're supposed to skip forward with like high knees and arms, leg opposite to the arm raised, while also keep your ankles flexed, and then you land on the ball of your feet, which also reinforces midfoot landing and coordination, and then you pull off. And then we have butt kicks. So butt kicks helps with like coordination between like your quads, your glutes, and then your hamstrings. I think it also helps increasing cadence while also reinforcing mid-foot landing as well. So you pretty much bring your knee and your heel up at the same time from below you, and then try to land mid-foot below you as well while moving forward, and with like fairly quick arms in the same motion as you normally run. If your heels don't actually touch your butt, don't feel bad. Like, really depends on someone's mobility and flexibility. I'm not really flexible and mobile, so yeah, I can't really kick my heel to my butt, unfortunately. And then we have high knees. High knees are another good way to train your body to land midfoot. I think it also strengthens your hip flexors, your glutes, and a bit of calves as well. So you drive your knee to your chest, then down into the ground, and explode or spring back up. Again, fairly quick arms in the same motion that you would with running. And then we have straight leg runs. So straight leg runs also help with the pulling motion, similar to the A skips, but it also strengthens your glutes, your hamstrings, a bit of ankles as well. If we're doing the straight leg runs, make sure your torso is upright, and then run with straight legs in front of you while landing midfoot, and then apply the pulling motion at the end. And then we have side skips. Side skips target the side of our legs, and this is kind of helpful when it comes to like making turns or when the surface is uneven or even like slanted a bit, for example. So as you skip sideways, you bring your feet together and then out to about like shoulder width apart, and then repeat again, all while landing midfoot, and then your arms will actually swing across your body as you go as well. And then finally we have strides. I'm not sure if strides counts as drills entirely, it probably does, but I think they're a good way to teach your body to have like quick leg turnover and just like feel fast. A stride's about 100 meters in length, where you accelerate for the first 30 meters or so, all the way to top speed, and you sort of hold that to like 70 meters or so, and then slow down a bit to 100 meters, and then like walk back slowly for recovery, and then repeat that for a few reps. So it's a super fast pace, but you're definitely not sprinting. You're still trying to stay relaxed and run with relatively good form, but mostly aiming to have a quick turnover in the legs. I think it kind of helps your body and mind know what your top end of fast feels like. So when you go at race, interval, threshold pace or whatever, it doesn't feel as quick or as intimidating as the strides by comparison. Sometimes I added some strides as part of my warm routine right at the end before I get to quicker efforts like threshold, intervals and races. Other times I do them towards the end of like a recovery or general aerobic run, maybe like once a week depending on what's scheduled by the training plan. Anyways, those are the running drills I currently do. There's plenty of other interesting and useful drills out there, so I'll check them out later when I get a chance. If you're not already doing drills, feel free to give some a try, as it may help you feel a bit more connected with running form and technique. Or if you have any recommendations, feel free to let me know as well. Remember to start off slow, learn how it feels, and then you can sort of get into rhythm with it. And make sure you warm up a fair bit before you do it as well. Finally, if you're a recreational or casual runner like me, you probably don't need to do that many drills either. Maybe a handful is okay. It may or may not help that much, but I reckon it's still worth looking into and adding into your warm-up routine. Hopefully you guys found any of this useful in some kind of way. I really gotta go now, so yeah, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Bye.